you guys know how to do this, right? If you make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. So the YouTube channel is Singing Revealed, right? You know, if you don't know it yet, here it is. It's Singing Revealed. Just come in. This is my view, of course, but come in and subscribe and click the notification button, because when you do that, then you'll get notified every time we go live on a live stream. Now, next week we're going to do it this exact same format. Okay, so we'll send you out on Zoom, we'll send you out the invitation directly, and then after next week, if you're a Singing Revealed member, you'll be able to join us live in the Zoom and chat and volunteer with us. And if you're not yet a Singing Revealed member, join us, become a member. There's a lot of great things coming up. I'll shoot you an email on that. But if you want to join us on the live feed on YouTube or our Facebook page, you can still interact on the chat with us as well. Okay, just want to let you know. So it's really going to be important going forward and valuable for you to join us on YouTube, to follow us on YouTube and on the Facebook page, so you get the notifications every time we go live. Then you can watch it on your TV, your phone, wherever you are in the world. All right, just wanted to give you that information. So let me pop up the chat here. Yes, and any sessions in your Singing Revealed membership, there was a question I just saw at the bottom. We archive all of these live streams. So in your Singing Revealed membership, you can go back and see the live streams since June of 2020. Right now, there are over 40 hours of live streams by international experts, and we really want to share this information we're passionate about with the world. That's the mission of Voice Masters live stream and Singing Revealed. Change the world one voice at a time. Okay, enough with the advertisement, right? Let's find some questions. Okay, so we've got a question from Cameron Wong. What are the reasons to do overtone singing? Is it important to know why? Thanks for your answer.
For me, it was not important because I was simply fascinated, so I went on with singing. I started as a classical baritone. Then I decided to do something to earn money, and I studied chemistry and physics. And then I worked for 10 years as a physical chemist. But in between, I found these overtones. And they really blew me away in those times. It was in 1983 when I first heard that you can use them musically. I knew about the theory, and then I was hooked into overtones. So I'd never asked the question, what can I use them for? I just sang overtones and I felt differently. It's like, I don't know, I never took drugs, but I imagine it's something like this.
and a passion and addiction.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think it's fascinating. I mean, obviously you're using voce vista, right? And we're seeing the harmonics and where the overtones come in. It seems like a logical conclusion that for different styles and the sounds of singing you want to create, that having certain frequencies amplified or active can really make a difference in the sound. What are your thoughts on that?
Yes, sure. I will share the software again because I built in some tools, or I show you where they came from.
And if nobody else noticed, Wolfgang and I did not plan to both wear yellow today. We just put on our yellow shirts.
I like to make diagrams like all scientists do. And it's not easy to understand here now on the first shot, but this kind of diagram is built into the software. It shows where the resonances for the vowels come together with the overtones of the voice. So, and this is what I'm going to show you, where your voice has the possibility to resonate. And this is something that will change your idea of vowels completely. But I think this will be part of what we do on January 23rd, I think. But I will show you what I mean. Let me open a new window and open the vowel chart. Can everybody see the vowel chart, or I can make it a little bit smaller maybe?
Yeah, we can see it. It's small, but it's readable. No problem.
So this is the field of resonances, and you see the resonances moving here in the vowel triangle, and you simultaneously you see the resonances here moving on the pitches. And if you add a voice, you have overtones that can resonate. But if you put your resonance between two overtones, there is no sound energy activating this resonance. So if you know about overtones and if you know how to control resonances, you can easily put your resonance exactly onto an overtone. And this is the most effective way of singing. And Bodo put this chart I showed you earlier into, where is it? Here. No, the wrong one. Into this chart. So you see all the overtones, how they are spread over the vowels. And if you don't know that, for example, this or this vowel is not very good for singing, might be you might tend to pronounce a word only because it's written in this way, but it doesn't sound well. And as a teacher, you hear vowels in this way, usually because intuitively most singers find these places, these resonance places. But if you are not on the right place, and I found this in a lecture I followed online by a famous baritone. He taught something to a female voice, a female singer, and he wanted her to change the vowel. And she was singing something like Es lächelt der See, a German text from a composition from Franz Liszt, der Fischerknabe. And he was singing this in a baritone voice. But this sound is not possible to sing in a female voice because there are no overtones on this sound. It's something, it was, the beginning is on G sharp, I think. One moment. So it's about G sharp, and then the baritone would pronounce the word here, and the soprano has to pronounce it here. And if a male teacher doesn't know about this, then he might give the wrong idea of the sound. So if I go to G sharp in a baritone, I have this sound. But if I go an octave higher, it's not. The soprano cannot sing this because it's in between overtones. She has no resonance here. It's not stabilizing the voice, so she has to open the mouth a little bit more, and then go a little bit forward with her pharynx tongue and resonance. And you have resonance, and the voice is stabilized then. Things like this are possible if you know how to control resonances and if you hear the overtones.
That's super fascinating. Just for some clarity, is this a software plugin that this is a software that you developed with a colleague that you add to Voce Vista? Is that correct?
No, it's the other way around.
Other way around.
So we developed a software called Overtone Analyzer, and this has all these tools. And then a few years ago, we met Don Miller. Don Miller had developed another software called Voce Vista. And when he saw our software, he asked, wouldn't it be possible to put my ideas of Voce Vista into your software because it looks so fascinating. And so Bodo combined both softwares, and then in order to appreciate his great work, he's one of the pioneers to introduce software into operatic singing. It was then renamed from Overtone Analyzer to Voce Vista, and to make a separation from Voce Vista, it's now called Voce Vista Video, which is a little bit a look into the future, because Bodo will add a video into the software as well.
Amazing. So that's an amazing. I don't think there are a lot of people that actually know that. So I just wanted to get clear on that together with you. All right, we have another question. In the questions from Erickson Franco, is the left brain and right brain connecting? I'm thinking he means when we're hearing overtone singing in any way to synesthesia. Are you familiar with that word? I'm not so familiar with that word, synesthesia.
Yes, I am, but it's not comparable. Synesthesia is so different in different brains. Some people smell something; they can smell sound, or other people can see colors, but people see different colors to sounds. It's not something that you can learn. This is an association, and I think the connection of right and brain hemisphere with overtone singing is different. You have information about overtones, or it's very fascinating when I teach overtones to beginners. So in the beginning, if they never heard overtone singing before, they learn the tongue techniques, and then they start hearing their own overtones, and then suddenly they say, "Ah, I heard my own overtone," but they have no idea of the pitch. Sometimes they even don't know if an overtone is higher or lower, because this judgment is done on the left side. And if there is no connection, they hear overtones, but they don't hear what they are doing with the overtones. They're moving, but are they moving up? And in the moment they concentrate on where is it directing, then they lose the overtone. They cannot sing anymore.
Yeah, that's happening to me at the moment when I'm working trying to do my overtones. I'm like, oh wait, it's gone.
So it takes some time, and then the connection comes and the consciousness about the pitch of the overtone. And then if you start singing polyphonic, there's another step when you have a new connection between the two brain halves. When I start singing two melodies simultaneously, like then I have to control one melody with my vocal cords and the other melody with the form of my vocal tract. But both pitches are controlled on the left side, and the detection of the overtones happens on the right side. So this is confusing again when people learn it. It's very interesting to see the steps they have to follow to give the brain the right information.
That is very fascinating. I'm just going to interject a question there. But do you find that you've worked with a lot of people on this? Do you find that singers that have been singing for a long time and really, let's say targeting their performance and learning, and you know, that hearing education have trained their listening, do you find that they're able to do it quicker, or is it really dependent on the learning type?
Um, no, it's people who have already access um, to the muscles in their throat, who have already trained to make the fine tuning of muscle movement, they learn quicker usually. But um, the quickest learners are those who already hear overtones. So if a singer already plays didgeridoo, for example, then they are really quick in learning overtone singing. So it has more to do with the hearing than with the skills.
Fascinating. Fascinating. I think I'm imagining that actually training the listening, you know, it's always great for singers of any type. It's an important part of learning how to sing is training the way you hear. And I imagine that developing the hearing of the overtones would be a great advantage for all singers.
Yes, I think so.
I found it very interesting as well. You talk about the, let's say, pharyngeal tuning. You say the tongue pharynx. You're talking about the middle pharyngeal constrictor area, right above the epilarynx, where the back of the tongue is meeting around the hyoid bone, the vocal tract, and is that the area you're talking about when you're saying tongue pharynx?
Yes, so it's mainly a combination of epiglottis and the root of the tongue. And the whole part is moving to the front. I can show you the video again. If I find it here.
Yeah, that's that video, the MRI video.
Yes.
Yeah, that one's amazing. I'd love to see that again. And then the second part of the question would be, do you have, and maybe we're going to do that more in the next live stream. If we are, just tell me that's what we're doing next live stream. But some of the tools, exercises you've developed to help train that coordination of that tongue root movement, because you can see, you're going to show us the video here in a second. It's quite amazing. It looks like you have amazing tongue coordination.
I show it in a different way in combination with a spectrum.
Okay.
Let me share this one. Oh, sorry. Once again. Okay, this is the position that I told Stanislava, where you have this step form of the tongue. I don't know if this works here. One moment. No. I think you see my mouse here. You have this form here. And this is the part of the tongue you feel if you put your tongue backwards and touch your uvula. Go, 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 go. This is this part. So this lower part of the tongue is unconscious. You don't feel it. But this is moving a lot. And after this step movement, the epiglottis is not to be seen here, but it pushes the root of the tongue to the front for higher overtone. So now you have this huge space here. And this whole part here is called pharynx. But you're moving the root of the tongue, this part, the pharynx part of the tongue, and the upper part of the tongue as well. You're moving everything.
That's just an amazing video, and I mean, the tongue is an amazing muscle in and of itself, right? So the tongue pharynx, where you're saying tongue pharynx, so that is in the back of the tongue root's building, if you will, the front wall of the pharynx, in for what we're talking about, and then you have the back pharyngeal wall, and you're just within that space, the shapes of that of the pharynx is tuning the overtones. Is that a correct description?
Yes, right. But it's different to a lot of textbooks about singing. They call
Yes.
it.
Yes, we've got a next question, and I think this is a great lead in into that topic. And this is from Annette. Annette, can you please distinguish between harmonics and formants when you speak about frequencies? So does that question make? Can you distinguish? So when you're talking about harmonics and formants, can you distinguish between the two when you're talking about frequencies?
Is a question to me.
Yes.
Ah, okay, sorry. Yes, again, I use my software. It's easier to explain then. The harmonics come from the vocal cord vibration, and you cannot change your harmonics. If you vibrate your vocal cords in a certain frequency, let's say around here, then physics or nature produces overtones, and you cannot change the structure of the overtones, and you cannot change the pitch. So if I sing this note, I have all these frequency automatically present. Oh. And this structure is kind of natural music. Was written in the beginning of universe. This is a natural behavior of vibration. And we have built something into our body that can reproduce it and that can enjoy it even. But this is physics. This has nothing to do with the singer. You cannot change the overtone structure. This chord is always the same. And it starts with an octave. And then you have a fifth and an octave. And you have a major chord here. And then a seventh an octave and so on. And this is moving when you move your fundamental pitch.
So these are the harmonics that are just
These are the
always
harmonics.
there.
And these harmonics produce sound energy on different frequencies.
Okay.
So you have sound energy on this frequency, on this one, but you have no sound energy here in the middle. And then you have something completely different. This is resonance of the vocal tract. If I use my finger to produce a sound on my cheeks, I can produce pitches. If I record those pitches, this sounds a little bit like tones, and you have a pitch perception, but actually there is no real sound. It's a noise with an amplified area. And this is called resonance. And now I activated this resonance by making a noise. But if you use your voice to activate the resonances, it's completely different. If you have a resonance, where is it? You have a pair of resonances for the vowel or, for example, and I make the shape for or, but I don't use my voice. I use noise to activate it. Oh, I have the resonances here. And then you see the resonance also has a pitch. But I hardly ever meet a singer who learned that the resonances have a pitch and a perception of pitch. And you probably didn't hear a pitch now. But if I move the second resonance according to a melody, you will hear the pitch of the resonance. And suddenly the resonance turns into a music instrument. And this is something which is probably new to most singers. And this is the resonance pitch, or the pitch of a formant, or the frequency of the formant. Recently I started avoiding the term formant because formant actually is something coming from mathematics, and the resonance frequency is what you actually hear.
Right. That was a great demonstration. I think it's very clear. And and then that I think that's a good lead-in, because you were talking about how, and I talked to Ken Bozeman for a couple hours on last Sunday about this too, about that traditionally, currently I would say most people are accepting that the first formant's being tuned back here, and the second formant here. But what you've been looking at is looking like it's saying it's reversed. Did I understand that correctly?
Yes, right. Actually, those people are not wrong, really, because the resonance pitch is controlled by the whole space. So if I change the pharynx tongue, I also change the front part of the mouth, and all resonance frequencies are coupled in this tube. But I find it much more helpful to feel the pharynx tongue moving, because if I put my tongue out and I don't move the front part of my mouth, I can move the second formant by moving the rest of the tongue, and this is only here. So if you imagine how to change the second formant, you more feel the movement of the pharynx tongue than you feel the narrowing of the front part of your mouth.
Yeah, I find that really helpful. Actually, been also experimenting with that and working with some of my clients on concentrating a little bit more on the pharyngeal tuning, and so far it's helped a lot of singers. What are your experiences with that? And maybe
Yeah.
let me just pop in a question, because we've got a question for Alvaro, and this kind of goes together. How could training overtone singing help to improve your standard singing? And maybe these can go together.
Yeah, for example, what I told you about this lecture I followed on Facebook, if you don't like the sound of a voice because it's not developed to the full potential of resonance, then if you hear the overtones and the position of the resonance frequency in relation to the overtones, then as a teacher you easily can adjust the resonance to the overtones. I have my overtones here, I have my resonance here, and let's say only the vowel resonances, the two lower resonances, and if they don't match, I can tell the student, open your mouth a little bit to achieve this here. And then go a little bit towards oo to go down with the second one, or go a little bit towards e to rise the resonance. And then suddenly the sound goes into full resonance. I can demonstrate it here with a tuning fork. This is a tuning fork you can't use for music instruments. It's 1000 hertz.
Oh, wow.
But it's in the range of the resonance of the mouth, and you can see what happens if I adjust my mouth to the resonance of the tuning fork. Can you hear the tone? It's very soft.
Yes.
And then now I open my mouth and then I adjust the vocal tract to the 1000 hertz resonance. more than doubling the sound energy. So you have doubling the loudness of your voice with only one overtone. If you have two of them amplified, you have huge amplification of your sound without changing the vibration here. You don't need more pressure or something.
Yes, thank you so much for saying that. First of all, that's amazing. It feels like, I mean, everybody hears differently, but when you tuned your vocal tract to that 1,000 hertz resonance with that tuning fork, it also feels like the whole shape of the sound just got richer and warmer, rather than just one frequency becoming more intense. But that's just my perception. What do you think about that?
If you use the voice, you have about 50 or 70 of those tuning forks
Right, stacked, right?
with the harmonics. And then you can choose out of them. And if you choose those who sound more like the vowel R, you get this sound. Or if you choose the pair of overtones matching more to vowel E, you have this sound. So you have different possibilities to amplify overtones. But if you do this with the two resonances apart, it sounds like words. It sounds like vowels. If you choose very close related, I give you an example. I sing Amen. Amen, a word often coming in choir singing as the last word, and then you have this syllable men. And I sing it in three ways. One moment, I need the pitch. Okay, I sing Amen, Amen, Amen. So I'm amplified. But you probably didn't hear it. But if I do it now from men to men, you will hear it. Amen. So if you choose vowels very close to each other, or a timbre of the same vowel, then you start hearing the pitches of your harmonics. The resonance is on the same pitch. If you amplify one of the harmonics, then the pitch of the resonance is identical with the pitch of this harmonic. Amen. And you can even use this to tune a choir. For example, if I sing Amen with a major third amplified, it's impossible for the choir to sing a clear minor chord. And if you sing a major chord, alto singers will automatically, unconsciously, tune into just intonation. So there will be 14 cents lower than the piano key would be. So you have just intonation just by amplifying the right harmonic in the bass voice.
That's going to revolutionize choirs all around the world. No more. I'm just going to do it using the the resonances of the natural human voice. That is amazing. And I love you did mention, it's a few minutes back, but you did mention that it's not about to create the volume, right? To create volume is not. You can create much higher volume if you focus on the resonance and pitch matching and activating and matching the overtones. Then most singers just want to push up that air pressure and put a lot of strain on the instrument. But with a very even, relatively medium low air pressure, you can still get an amazing volume boost by matching these up.
Yes, exactly.
I would love. I mean, I wish I wish that more singers were trained like that. It would just make your life easier, people. So look for that. Let's train that. We've got another question here. That one we've talked about, the pharynx tongue space. From Sarah, I believe this is Sarah in Ireland. Is there a library of recordings we can listen to in order to educate and develop our ears to hear overtones? Would you recommend that yeah, she come to your Facebook page on overtone singing? She's looking for more overtone music that to train the ear. Is that a great way to train the ear hearing of overtones, Wolfgang?
Yes, it's always a good way to listen to overtone singing. I have a collection of compositions written for overtone singing, which is mainly in the classical music part. I'm just finding one moment. My website is not completely translated to English yet, but most of it. So I'm
Well,
looking if I,
yeah.
yes, I translated this.
Now this website is the Overtone .org, Oberton.org, right? Is that the one you're referencing?
One moment, I published it only to one of those people, everybody. Okay. I put the link in the chat, and there is a list of compositions written for overtone singing, and for some of them I have sound samples on the website.
Fantastic. I'll post that to this video so people can see it on YouTube. We'll just put that in the description for everybody.
And then I have a blog, and you find some overtone music on this blog as well. And you can filter it to, I called it worth listening.
Fantastic. Let's take another question. Um, we're gonna talk more about next week about tools, exercises people can use to work on those tongue movements. Is that is that part of the plan next week, Wolfgang?
Yes, exactly. I would like to teach how to go deeper into vowels. Um,
Okay. So then we'll skip that question and leave it for next week after you've been able to present on it. There's a question from Brenna. Does the pitch help filter the frequencies better or make it easier? Should we stick closer to our own fundamental frequency when practicing, or does that matter? And there was another question that maybe goes into this. Maybe can you repeat which pitch ranges are best for the female voice types and the male voice types for overtone production? So the question again, does pitch help filter the frequencies, make it better or easier? Should we stick to our own fundamental frequency when practicing, or does that matter?
I actually don't understand the question really. I will try to answer, and then you have to ask again if it's the wrong answer. um,
I guess it's about the range of pitch. She's saying the pitch specifically, does that help filter or the frequencies, or maybe she means do singing at certain pitches, does it make it easier to produce these overtones? And you mentioned that in your presentation that for the female voice there's a range, a pitch range that is where it's easier to produce and tune the overtones.
yes, if we are speaking about overtone singing technique, then this is the range where you can amplify overtones. And which overtones are in this range is depending on the fundamental. So from here to here, I amplify those overtones. If I sing higher pitches, then I have less overtones in this range here.
Okay. Is this one you've got the on this keyboard, the C5 is the middle C. I know there's sometimes C4 is middle C, or the C4 is the
The
middle C still, right?
before the middle C. You can see it here on the score.
Okay, so when that's how I go by it as well, but it just seems really high. So you're saying to produce or to sing the overtones, do you want to have the fundamental on the F5?
Now, if you want to sing overtones, you have two things. First, you need the sound energy to amplify overtones in your throat. So to have a good fundamental sound production. So if I sing like, I cannot sing overtones because the overtones are soft. And the second thing is you need a certain amount of overtones to make a melody. And then you have a limit. Most singers can't go beyond number 12. Some singers can sing up to number 17 or something, but then the overtones get too dense to be separated. So you have this limit here on the overtone scale, and you have the limit of your voice production. I can hardly sing overtones on G2. Because I'm not a really low bass.
Right.
I get my best energy for overtone singing between C3 and C4.
For the gentlemen and for the ladies, what are the best results for the ladies?
It depends. If you have a very low alto voice, you can go as low as F3, but most females end up at A3 as the lowest note, and then they can go up as high as they want, but they get less and less overtones they can
Got it.
amplify. So the limit is here about, and if you go to here, you still can sing overtones, but if you go up to here, there's no overtone left.
So
There's only
after that high C6 or D6 is about where you've got it right now, the overtones disappear if the female singer is singing a true D6 up there. Is that correct?
they don't disappear. They go beyond the range where you can amplify or select them. They are still there, but you cannot amplify single overtones anymore.
And that's very
Um,
fascinating because that really matches. I just another fun fact. You know the how humans feel vibrations. That after that C6 D6, that physically it becomes. We don't really feel the physical vibrations of the frequency as a singer. The, and I think that's just really interesting. It seems like there are some pitches where just a lot of different things match up, where something changes. So like around the C6, D6, like you said, the overtones get into the range where we don't hear them anymore. We don't physically feel the vibrations anymore. So it's just like some magical pitch limits, like sound barrier.
but I did some interesting experiments with dolphins.
With
Dolphins,
dolphins.
yes, they react on overtone singing, and it's really amazing.
Wow.
Um, but actually, they react on them only on air. So I tried underwater speakers. I tried diving and singing into my mask and things like that. But they were not interested. And when I was singing on a boat,
Mm-hmm.
they came to the boat and they even tried to come into the boat and touch me. Wild dolphins.
What?
And and then I found that the speaking or singing range of dolphins has the same wavelengths underwater than our overtones have on air.
Oh my
So
God.
seems to be a relation between the wavelengths and not the pitch. They have a much higher pitch, but underwater you have 5 times the speed of sound. Depends on temperature and the amount of salt dissolved, but it's around 5.5 times the speed. So if you have a certain pitch, moving slow, you have this wavelength, and the same pitch moving 5 times the speed, you have a very wide wavelength. So if dolphins listen to my sound on air, they hear the same wavelengths, and they hear from their own sounds, the high-pitched sounds underwater. And then I found that some of the pitches really match their social whistles. And this was really funny to see. One moment. I have a picture somewhere.
Next time I'm going with you. We're gonna go on a diving trip, and then we'll do some overtones singing and call the dolphins.
Let me see. No, not sure if I find this so quickly now.
Yeah, I think that's crazy. The dolphins were trying to get in the boat with you.
Yes, they came very close and touched my mouth with their mouth.
Wild dolphins.
White dolphins.
That is amazing.
Let me show you the diagram. I think it's. I didn't see it here, so no, it's the wrong one. One moment. Ah, yes. So what you see here is this is the pitch of the of a social whistle. That is kind of a name of a dolphin. They call each other by whistling tones, and this is related to one of the dolphins. So if this dolphin hears this sound, he comes. You can record the sound and replay it, and then he comes as well. Or even dolphins can give their names in a way of telling that's me. And this is the wavelength of this sound. When we hear this sound on air, the wavelength changes. If you play it underwater, you have a different wavelength. It's the same pitch, but I transformed it to the same wavelength that the dolphins hear underwater. And these are my overtones I sang. So obviously they are very close related, and I thought maybe I just, without knowing, called his name in wavelengths.
Oh wow, well that's pretty cool. That's very cool. I love that. That's a fantastic story, and I'm serious. We definitely need to go diving. I'm on board for the next dolphin experiment. Hang on one second. I've got some.
Or what I wanted to say is that wavelengths is a perception of sound that we don't develop. We are not used to feel wavelengths. But if you start singing overtones and feeling the sound of the space around you, feel the resonance of the theater space, for example, then you can adjust your body resonance to the resonance of the room. This is another big experience. And then you actually experience resonance of wavelengths. It's related to the pitch, but you're not listening, you're feeling the sound then.
Right. That's I know what you're saying, and I want to talk. We have to talk about that another time, because there, people know I've been a professional singer for a long time, and what I was always extremely sensitive to room acoustics and how it resonated in my body and my hearing. And I know some singers are also very sensitive to that, others not so much. But that would be such a great advantage to really be able to tune everything to each different space and hear this way, because it can really impact your performance if you walk into a new space and suddenly the way you feel and hear your own singing is completely different. You feel a bit lost, right? In the beginning, it's like, my voice, where'd it go? It's not working. Everything's the same, but the perception's so different. Is that what you're talking about there?
Yes, I think so.
We've got another question. This is another one of my questions, but you talked about adding some constriction to your vocal tract, and so the question is, when you say add constriction in your throat, is this the same or similar? And this is a word that's understood differently in different methodologies, but same or similar to the word twang. And we have the twang, the narrowing of the epiglottis towards the arytenoids and the epilarynx. Or so is that the kind of narrowing you are doing, or are you talking about more pharyngeal narrowing, or both?
Now, what I'm talking about is narrowing the ventricular folds. And this is related to constriction of pharyngeal constriction, but it's not connected to the movement of the epiglottis.
Okay.
But it sounds like twang, how it's in the way it's defined in CVT, for example.
Yeah.
So, but it's what they call twang is usually a combination of the movement of the vocal cords. They can move in this way, or they can have a shorter opening time. And this is called the rising the closed quotient. And this is done by the muscles in the vocal cords.
Mm-hmm.
And then in overtone singing, I used this ha 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 ha, bringing my muscle energy from the vocal cords. But I lower the energy of the fundamental by moving my ventricular folds in. And this sounds like what little children do when they are whining, so, like
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Okay. That, for me, that answers the question. But it's fascinating that you say you're thinking of really bringing the ventricular folds, the false vocal folds, a little bit closer together. Have you observed? Is this a narrowing all the way around, or is it more really the the horizontal or lateral narrowing, side to side, or front to back, or is it both? Or,
I can show you a video of it. One moment.
because I mean, just for me personally, when I use the term twang to describe narrowing in the vocal tract, and then I'm really specific about the sound of the epiglottis arytenoid narrowing. When you so there's that narrowing, but then there's the that's more of a squeezing type narrowing. And you demonstrated today for the overtone singing the pharyngeal tuning as well. So yeah, what were you going to show us there on the video?
One moment. My screen. So what you see here is this is the back wall of the pharynx. This is the epiglottis, and this is the glottis. And the white thing here these are the vocal cords. And now you see the false vocal cords here and here,
Mm-hmm.
moving a little bit over the vocal cords.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But at the same time, I have a little constriction here of the ariepiglottic folds,
Mm-hmm.
and the cartilage is moving together a little bit. In the Mongolian style of overtone singing, these what is it called? Arytone cartilage
Yeah,
is
arytenoid, yeah.
is completely moving towards the epiglottis and making a little valve then. So these are constricted in Mongolian singing, and in Western overtone singing, these are constricted here.
Yeah, it's you can definitely see that narrowing there, and it's really interesting that you point out you it's clear you've got we've got this sideways of the narrowing as well. So it looks like it's both. It looks like a little square in there in a way. I like this video a lot because it also shows really clearly how your tongue is moving the epiglottis
Mm-hmm.
and the back of the tongue. I think that's fascinating. Very cool. Thank you for that, Wolfgang. So there's a question. You touched on this a little bit, but I think it'll be good, a nice question to get again clear on. Thank you, Doug, for this question. It's, are the overtones created by the sound source, vocal folds, or are they generated by a separate energy in the vocal tract? Does the vocal tract generate energy, or is it a reflection from the source? So I've got my mind's already turning on how to answer this, but I'd like to hear you answer this. So are the overtones created by the vocal folds or by another energy in the vocal tract? Does the vocal tract generate energy itself, or is it a reflection of the vocal folds of the source?
Yes, it's definitely a reflection. The vocal, the tube doesn't produce energy. It only makes less energy disappear. If you create a space that reflects a wave from the lips back to your vocal cords, and then it fits into the next wave, then you amplify it because less of the energy is lost on the way. So it's not real amplification. You don't add energy, but you collect energy of the whole sound. And then it's a very good question. Where are the overtones produced? I asked this to many experts, and it's not really clear. Because if you imagine you have harmonics going up to ultrasound, which part of your vocal folds can vibrate with 40,000 movements per second? I
Yeah.
cannot imagine. They can only be maybe some molecules or something like that, some liquid on it. But still you have these overtones. So I ask them, maybe the overtones are produced in the air tube. You have an explosion of the vocal cords, and you have a pressure coming out, and then they close again. And this pressure produces maybe in the tube some vibrations, like so you have a kind of a drum here that produces the overtones. But there were some scientific investigations on this, and they mainly found out that actually the overtones are produced on the vocal cords. I still can't believe it, but I'm not the one to investigate this. I don't have the equipment for this.
So one study that you've said is indicating that they're produced on the vocal folds.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll be fascinated, as I think will you and the rest of the science world, to they get more studies examining different elements there. It seems amazing to me that the vocal folds themselves. I mean, the vocal folds are the source, right? That's what creates the wave, And then it's like the logical question for me is then, okay, is that wave being amplified in the vocal tract, or then is the energy in the vocal tract shape then amplifying those overtone frequencies? I mean, if it's just amplifying parts of the sound that's already there, then you could maybe you could postulate that yes, the overtones are already in the bass sound. We're just amplifying them in the vocal tract. What do you think?
No, the amplification comes when overtones meet a resonance frequency in this tube. And the resonances of the vocal tract are not very sharp. This is you still can perceive them as a pitch, but they are not like the resonance frequencies in a trumpet. In a
Right.
trumpet, they have the trumpet has hard walls and very good reflection of the sound waves, and then you get pitches of the resonance that are very sharp. And if you are slightly beside the resonance, you don't have any amplification. But we have soft tissue and liquid on the surface of this tube, and so this is not as sharp. So if you have overtones in close to the resonance, you still have some amplification of the sound. So the amplification comes because you have less resistance to the moving of the wave through the tube. Actually, the vocal tract is a kind of a wet pillow.
Yeah.
If you sing into a wet pillow, you don't get much sound out. And if you measure the sound energy directly above the vocal cords, you have sound pressure of 160 decibels or something. It's really loud. It would
Wow.
damage your ears if you really listen to the sound in your throat. So most of the sound is dampened out, and it's much softer when it leaves your body.
So where's that? I mean, I think we're talking. I'm thinking about the shape. So you're saying the shape inside the pharyngeal tuning, like the tongue pharynx tuning, that is where we're by putting it in the right shape. That's where we're aligning frequencies that then amplify. They're not really, you said, not gaining more energy, but collecting the energy rather.
Yes. If you have the right shape, then you have a pressure wave going to the lips, and then the space changes immediately because it can spread in all directions, and this makes the wave reflect. Part of the sound energy goes back into the throat, and this is lost if you have the tuning of the tube, which is making the wave coming back disturbing the new wave. But if it's in phase with the new wave, then it helps the vocal cords to get open. If the sound pressure comes with a low pressure and sucks it open in the right moment, then you collect all the energy coming from the vocal cords. Otherwise, you have a pressure wave pressing your vocal cords together if it's not in tune. So you need to make a space that has the the ability to create a standing wave of the same frequency you're producing.
Yeah, I think it's so fascinating. I mean, maybe we lost some people on that, but there. This is also what Ingo Tietze describes as inertance,
Yeah.
right? So there's the word inertance. So we have the energy and sound cycling inside of the vocal tract, inside of that tube, and that's affecting directly also the source, the vocal folds, and how they work. So I love the way you say it. If it's in phase with the source, then it actually makes the work of the source more efficient, right?
Yeah. Understanding resonance is not really intuitive to singers. And if you see the mathematical formulation that physicists do for this modeling of the part. It's really complicated. It's not really complicated, but it's difficult to understand if you don't know the mathematics. So it's hard to describe.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I'm jumping on the chat, and our friend Ken Bozeman, he gave a quick, brilliant short answer to the same question. He says the rarefaction of the pressure at the point of closure is the strongest part of the sound impulse. Paradoxically, not the puff pulse. And yes, the question of the origin of the overtones is still a live question. Yeah, he's wonderful, a scientist, researcher as well, and he's going to be on in March, so we can look forward to that. I hope you'll join us again. Fascinating. I think I want to thank you. Your demonstrations are just amazingly accurate, and to hear and be able to see that also in the software, it's just so precise. So thank you for being here today. I want to invite everybody to, as we do all the time, follow the co-hosts, like what they do, join us again on Voice Masters live stream, and please remember, next week we're going to be live on Saturday the 23rd with Wolfgang, and thank you so much, Wolfgang, for your time today. I know it's getting late where you're at. Would you like to say anything, any closing remarks?
Yes, thank you all very much for staying with me such a long time. I think
Yeah.
we spent too much time in front of screens recently, and really thankful you are so interested here.
Thank you, Wolfgang. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Thanks for the wonderful comments and questions. And you actually, every question you have helps us share more information. That's the mission. Let's share information, change the world one voice at a time. Wolfgang, have a wonderful weekend coming up, and we'll be in touch soon. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in.
Yeah, and
We'll
don't be
see you
shy
again soon.
writing me. I can also answer questions on email.
Yeah, that's fantastic. If you have any questions for Wolfgang or would like to get in touch with him, reach out. And just once again, we'll be live on YouTube and Facebook, so follow us on Facebook, our Facebook page, and click subscribe, and subscribe to the YouTube channel, and click notifications. Then you'll get a notification every time we go live. Thanks for joining us. Have a wonderful day. If you're not in the mood to hear Thunderstruck by AC/DC, then this is your chance to escape. Bye-bye, everybody.